Hello, myself Sunil R Nair. Here basically we are discussing about the currencies. What actually the currencies are basically. And in this basically we are discussing about the ideas and this is going to connect to the earthquakes. And this is related to the earthquake one topic basically which we are discussing actually. That topic is this topic is actually ongoing. How earthquake works. That topic covered these all things. Then basically it covered balancing formula. Then it's covered this is ongoing basically project manager of the city basically, how basically one software company is going to handle the software so cities basically. In this basically the topic basically that is ongoing is currencies basically, and this currencies basically one topic is ongoing that is of ideas basically. So that topic is currently ongoing, and in this basically we are discussing about one topic that is railway time. The railway basically the track basically, and this basically the railway department, each and every departments and the government basically they knows na basically the reason they are spending the money for a railway basically, how much money they are spending in balance sheet basically, everything basically comes into the picture that this many monies are spent to create this 120 planets basically, and from 120 planets only the power supply is getting, and by income basically of the railway basically, so expense of the railway and income of the railway, so this all basically comes into 120 planets basically created, that comes into the income of the railway basically, and the expense of the railway, and then basically this all are income, and this 120 also comes into the income also basically, because it's already created, so this has become asset, so this comes to the income basically. So this comes to the income basically. Now basically this basically we have cleared in the few section basically, right? Now basically things we are discussing it this basically, this also basically most of thing basically we have discussed, that is the earth planet basically which is moving and which is balanced by the set of satellites basically, and set of satellites basically this planet basically is moving, right? So that point actually we have already discussed, right? That point we have already discussed. Which all currencies basically handles the which all currencies, this also basically point is ongoing, at that point basically we are discussing. In this basically we are at the set of ideas which is created by the earth planet, and the idea basically which earth planet is getting, and the idea which earth planet is giving, so that planet basically, if planet basically is if earth planet people basically can communicate with that satellite, then it would be clear basically that this idea is going to pass, so this idea is going to get basically to the earth planet, to the other planets basically, but mostly things basically can earth planet basically is getting idea basically, right? But they have created the languages na basically, German basically has created English language, German has created Gujarati language, so that basically things can be filtered basically, so that entire Germany language basically is not supposed to affect, so they have created these all languages basically, they have created these all languages basically, so that the entire German language is not supposed to get effect, so that's why they have created. Same way basically earth planet also is passing the data to the set of planets basically, that are basically the ideas basically which gets activated at the certain level of time basically. Same way basically idea basically when before passing to the other planets basically, they checks here each and every ideas basically. Without checking, you can't pass the data to the other satellite basically. If they are passing basically, then basically the satellite group will never accept it. Satellite group basically never accept it basically. That is basically the rocket basically, in short basically the rocket is not going to launch in the satellite, in the universe basically. In simple language, that basically is, the rocket basically is not going to launch in the universe, that only basically. So all testing basically has to be done, and each and every roadmap, for example, all layers, for example, up to the universe basically there are assumed that 18 to 19 layers are there, right? So that layer has to be clear, then only basically the rocket gets launched. Otherwise basically this doesn't get launched basically. It will get crash in between basically. So like this basically things are also basically there basically. So this is basically also one of the idea basically, which is the part of the satellite industry, that comes under NASA and ISRO basically. So one person told that basically why NASA and ISRO basically launched, why NASA and ISRO basically company basically launched. NASA and ISRO is basically one company, right? They are basically creating their area. They are in their under basically lots of nuclear power companies are there, lots of power companies are there. Nuclear power company is not under nuclear power company basically is not under basically sorry, the ISRO basically is under ISRO is not under the nuclear power company basically, right? ISRO is directly NASA, sorry, the nuclear power companies are reporting to the NASA and ISRO basically. So the NASA basically is getting the data from the nuclear power company group. So nuclear power company groups are basically reporting to the NASA and ISRO basically. So this group basically gets the data, and NASA and ISRO group also basically have their internal group basically where the R&D basically happens basically. Then only basically the data gets to the universe basically. Otherwise basically you can't send the data directly to the universe basically. So like this basically each and every ideas basically which are sent to the planets, right? For example, potato idea is there, tomato idea is there, means planet basically, 3 lakh planet basically. They basically are created from the earth planet. Each and every stage basically of testing are passed, each and every testing stage basically are cleared, then only basically they pass the data to the satellites basically. Otherwise basically you can't basically pass the data. Testing data means you can say that they have cleared all 18 layers basically. So one person told that basically what is layer basically, then he told that basically data basically, layer are equal to data. So you have to clear each and every 18 layers basically. So few layers basically we will see. First example first example is assume that the Ramayana Mahabharata data is there in the, you have to, whenever the rocket is getting launched, that time basically Ramayana Mahabharata data comes, then the First World War data comes, Second World War data comes. First World War and Second World War basically people died, there basically human clones basically are converted into human, and which has converted into the caste, their data comes, that basically matching happens. Like this basically there are 18 layers basically that you have to clear, then only basically the rocket gets launched, then only basically the rocket get launched to the universe basically. So like this basically in 18 layers basically are there. So in 18 layers basically we will discuss in later of video basically. In next video basically we are going to see that 18 layers basically.